Reytan, Day 7. Far and wide across the land, candlelights grew ever dimmer. Pallid sheets of winter's fan blew the ground dust even thinner. Pointy skeletons of trees, last remains of living ghosts, in a death throes on their knees. All was dying coast to coast. On a hill beneath the moon that was waning back to ground, on the frosted silver dune, stood Perfidio with no sound. Eyebrows black above blue eyes, chest like bulwark of cruel glee, jaw that spoke to hypnotize, in black metal clad was he. Next to him, in the fierce red, Scararossa, his right hand. Vicious, mad, compassion dead, agitative firebrand. In the vale right there before them, fields of squalor and of penury, broken minions, stagnant golems, begging to neglect all memory. Sorry was this sight to even heartless merchants of foul slaughter, like Perfidio, nature's demon, hardened villain and a rotter. Lifted up his left hand he did. Scararossa got the sign. Both then mounted their wild steeds, perfect evil yet divine. As his right hand swept before him, Scararossa bolted swiftly, with a madman's pointless grin and a band of 150. All along the wooded hills, huts were lighting up the sky, torching those that weren't first killed, hoping they'd be next to die. Rugged, stinking Vilaherts spread such dread where'er they rode. People screamed, but not with words. Fear maimed more than the sword. And amongst this disarray, flash of crimson could be seen, jolting to and fro in melee, in a bloodlust most obscene. Many times throughout the dusk, silence followed every pelt, only for an even bloodier thrust to another hut be dealt. One by one along the edge, hulks and villages they fell down to the mighty cutting edge of the red-clothed rabbit hound. Meanwhile, in a courtyard proper, dressed in perfect white, the knight lined up troops of Shanghaied paupers, whom he dressed in whiter white. "Heroes you are," he announced. "Men of valor, strength and courage. Enemy will dare not pounce when they faced with your valiant barrage. History will remember this, how you stood up for things righteous. Pain is victory, death is bliss. Cowardice shall never smite us. Go, my men, brave liberators. War awaits your hungry swords. Beating hearts of these frail raiders you will bring to me in droves. Your King Sas sits in his tower, where he holds the finest view of this land's distinguished power in a rank and file that's you. You will make him proud today, for there is no greater decency than to give your life away for his living deity." And upon closing his speech, bade them all farewell he did. Through the gates they rode out, each clutching at his own white steed. In the tower high above, Sas was placid in his mien, peering like a hunting dove down onto this grisly scene. Reytan knew this was sheer madness, so he stayed down in the war room, with a face that glowed with sadness and an air of doom before him. Damned Aurelia, where's her succor? Thoughts had clouded his sharp brain. One fine useless saboteur she is when status quo's the same. The night will single-handedly destroy all that Woros ever had. And so pointless is my ploy if the night is not yet dead. And as Reytan slammed his fury on the table with his fist, nature's cruelest judge and jury raged outside within the mist. Crowds of white-robed, terrified men were shivering like lost souls, knowing they were there to fight Scararos's army ghosts. And this haze and fog of war, billowing wide across the open fields, then surrounded them and more, right up to the wooden shields. Quiet followed, air more solemn. Winds had slowed down too right then. No one spoke for one long moment. Calm that followed, inhumane. Stillness through eternity flowed. Pounding hearts and bated breaths slowly turned so dark and cold, while every man awaited death. Every eye turned to its side. Beads of sweat formed crusty ice. There was nowhere here to hide. Hell's a door to paradise. Just then, somewhere in a corner of the circle they had made, someone heard a muffled warning and saw a glistening of a blade. A faint thud, brutally hollow, took a soldier right off kilter. Murky wickedness had swallowed one into the depths of winter. Once again, no sound was heard. For an even longer instant, something evil then half stirred, air more painful and air more distant. One by one, each frightened soul picked at random from the fringe. Scararos's death patrol ran amok in rage unhinged. And in the midst of this white lot, splattered blood on frosty canvas, where, as this circle smaller got, vanished hope with raw sadness. Soon this state of terse despair got to Reytan's vigilance, who then bounded up the stairs, knowing peril was immense. "Royal Highness, you must flee!" He burst onto the tower on Sass. "Menace of a savage degree is at the gates. Flee you must." The knight had previously made plain that high victories in our court. He still has a troop of bands, the baffled king did retort. "I beseech you, waste no time. Follow me to safety, sir." Down the stairway they both climbed, clutching blindly at cold air. Reytan led them far below to the catacombs of death, where no brave men e'er dared go, and even demons held their breaths. Darkness was silent and sour. Reytan and the king spoke not, for the longest ever hour of trepidation, fear, and doubt. Walls of stone crept all around them, cold and mean, yet safe and sound. The Vilaherts would never find them in this bygone underground. Suddenly, a clunk of metal echoed through the catacombs. The doors creaked open to unsettle. Sass shrieked mildly, "Death is soon!" But in a light of fusty air that slowly entered in its right, a beat and bloody, but not scared, stood the figure of the night. Are you here, my overlord? A piece of cloth I found of yours. Fear not, no more discord. The Vilaherts have fled on horse.